Have you ever wondered why so much of history feels incomplete? Why the stories in our textbooks always seem to begin with war, empire, and kings, but never with wisdom, consciousness, or the deeper mysteries of who we really are? Today, we step beyond the surface, into the realms of history that have been hidden, forgotten, or deliberately erased. Because there is a story far older than pyramids, older than kingdoms, and older than the written word itself, the story of the first awakening of humanity. Long before the timelines you've been taught, there existed civilizations that understood life not just as survival, but as a sacred connection between the earth, the stars, and the soul. These societies did not leave behind skyscrapers or steel, they left behind monuments aligned perfectly with the cosmos. Imagine this: pyramids built with mathematical precision so exact that even modern engineers are baffled. Structures aligned to Orion's belt, Sirius, and the rising sun of equinoxes. Why? Because they knew that the universe itself was alive, a mirror of human consciousness. But who were these people? The story you've been told says, they were primitive, they worshipped the stars because they were ignorant. But what if it's the opposite? What if they were remembering truths we have forgotten? Across deserts, jungles, and mountains, one pattern repeats: sacred geometry. Spirals, triangles, circles, the flower of life, carved into temples and hidden in ancient scripts. These were not decorations. They were the mathematics of the universe, a universal language that encoded how energy, matter, and consciousness flow. The ancients left us these patterns because they knew history would be rewritten. But symbols speak across time. A circle carved in stone whispers louder than any textbook. One of the most puzzling secrets comes from a people who carried knowledge that should have been impossible. They spoke of a star invisible to the naked eye, a star modern science only confirmed with telescopes. They knew its orbit, its weight, its cycles. Ask yourself, how could they know, unless knowledge was passed from a source beyond ordinary human reach? Either they had tools long forgotten, or they were taught by visitors who saw the earth not just as a planet, but as a school for awakening souls. If you knew that humanity once lived with direct awareness of energy, nature, and spirit, would you still believe the narrative that humans are small, powerless, and accidental? The truth is simple: control requires amnesia. When people forget who they are, they can be ruled. But when people remember, they cannot be stopped. This is why entire chapters of our past were buried, burned, and rewritten. But here is the paradox: what is hidden is never truly lost. The earth remembers. The stones remember. The DNA in your cells remembers. And right now, as people across the world awaken, the whispers of ancient civilizations return. Perhaps you felt it, that strange sense of déjà vu when looking at a pyramid, a temple, a spiral carved in stone. It's not random. It is memory. A memory of a time when humanity walked not as prisoners of fear, but as co-creators with the universe. The hidden history they don't teach you is not just about the past. It's about now. Because if these truths rise again, then every soul alive today faces a choice. To remain asleep, accepting the surface story. Or to awaken, remembering that you are part of a much greater story than you were ever told. And so the question is not whether lost civilizations existed, or whether ancient wisdom was real. The question is, will you remember? Will you awaken to the history written not in books, but in your very being? The hidden history is not behind us. It is within us. And as the world awakens, the forgotten becomes remembered. The veils fall. And humanity rises again.